multiple myeloma. So this multiple myeloma, so this is a clonal multiple myeloma. This is a clonal plasma cell proliferative disorder. That is, the plasma cells are proliferating here, and there is a replication of this plasma cells. Plasma cell proliferative, clonal plasma cell proliferative disorder. So this is characterized by, so because of this increased proliferation of these plasma cells, so this leads to abnormal increase of monoclonal immunoglobulins. So plasma cells are there, so these plasma cells are proliferating. So because of this excess proliferation of these plasma cells, there is excess production of immunoglobulins. So unchecked, so if this excess production of these plasma cells, what they can do is ultimately they can cause a end organ damage. Ultimately, so this will lead to end organ damage. So what organ damage can we expect? So this organ damage, it is seen in the form of hypercalcemia, renal dysfunction, anemia, or bone pain accompanied by lytic lesions, CRAB. So this is nothing but hypercalcemia, renal dysfunction, anemia, bone pain, and accompanied by lytic lesions. So coming to the etiology. So in the etiology of multiple myeloma, the exact etiology is unknown, but frequent alterations and translocations in the promoter genes of chromosome 14 are commonly found in multiple myeloma, and they play a role in disease development. Exact etiology is unknown, but however, frequent alterations and translocations in the promoter genes, and particularly the chromosome 14. So what is happening in the promoter genes? So there are alterations and translocations in the promoter genes, especially chromosome 14. So these are found in multiple myeloma, and they play a role in disease development. In addition, other oncogenes. So other oncogenes such as NRAS, KRAS, and BRAF, so they also participate in plasma cell proliferation. So what are the other oncogenes which participate in plasma cell proliferation? So the other oncogenes such as NRAS, KRAS, and BRAF. NRAS, KRAS, and BRAF, so they participate in plasma cell proliferation. So apart from this oncogenes, what are the other factors which are contributing to disease occurrence? So the other factors which are leading to this disease occurrence include obesity, alcohol consumption, environmental causes such as insecticides, organic solvents, Agent Orange, and radiation exposure. So oncogenes are important. So what are these oncogenes? NRAS, KRAS, and BRAF. And apart from these oncogenes, other factors also contribute to disease occurrence. So these include obesity, alcohol consumption, environmental causes such as insecticides, organic solvents, Agent Orange, and radiation exposure. So what is the epidemiology? So this multiple myeloma, it is relatively uncommon, and it only represents only 1.8% of all new cancer cases diagnosed in the United States. So this predominantly occurs in the geriatric population, and the median age of diagnosis of this multiple myeloma is 70 years, and this is more common in males. Okay, so where is this occurring? So this is occurring predominantly in the geriatric population, and the median age of diagnosis of this multiple myeloma is 70 years, and it is more commonly seen in males than females. And there seems to be an increased incidence in African American and black populations. And multiple myeloma, it is also increased incidence is seen in African American and black populations. So what is the pathophysiology of multiple myeloma? So this is essentially a stage in the spectrum of monoclonal gammopathy. Okay, so this is a multiple myeloma. So this is a stage. So there is a spectrum of monoclonal gammopathy. So in this, it is just a stage. It is a stage in the spectrum of monoclonal gammopathy. So how this multiple myeloma arises? So this arises from a pre-malignant asymptomatic phase of clonal plasma cell growth called monoclonal gammopathy of undetermined significance. So how is this multiple myeloma occurring? So this is occurring from a pre-malignant asymptomatic phase of clonal plasma cell growth called monoclonal gammopathy of undetermined significance. So this monoclonal gammopathy of undetermined significance, it is defined as detecting monoclonal immunoglobulins in the blood or urine without evidence of end organ damage. See what happens here, because of the plasma cell proliferation, what is happening? We are just detecting only the monoclonal immunoglobulins in the blood or in urine, but here there is no evidence of end organ damage. So what happens in MGUS? In MGUS there is no evidence of end organ damage. So this is quite common, and it is known to be detectable in over 3% of persons above age 50. So if we take some age group above 50, so this monoclonal gammopathy of unknown significance is quite common, and it is detectable in over 3% of the patients above age 50. So it appears at the cell of origin. So what is the cell of origin here? It is a post-germinal center plasma cell. What is the cell of origin? So the cell of origin is a post-germinal center plasma cell, and this MGUS, it is typically a benign condition because here there is no organ damage except for evidence of monoclonal immunoglobulins in the blood or urine. And this benign condition, so this MGUS, so this has got a risk of progression to multiple myeloma. So this has got a risk of progression to multiple myeloma of about 1% per year. So what is the risk of progression of this to multiple myeloma? 1% per year. So the exact causes of MGUS and progression to multiple myeloma remain unknown. However, as noted, above genetic alterations, so what is the result of the genetic alterations? So the result of this genetic alterations is that it causes an increased expression of promoter genes. So this genetic alteration, so what does they cause? They cause an increased expression of promoter genes, or there will be resistance to apoptosis. So there is these genetic alterations, they cause an increased expression of promoter genes or resistance to apoptosis. So this will result in higher plasma cell proliferation and population. So because of this increased expression of promoter genes, and there is also resistance to apoptosis, so both of these will result in higher plasma cell proliferation and population. And again we have the second hit hypothesis. So under the second hit hypothesis, progression, so the progression of this disease, it is also a consequence of the additional cytogenetic lesions. So plasma cell clone is there, original plasma cell clone, it will acquire additional cytogenetic lesions. So this is called as second hit. So this caused either by genetic instability or abnormalities in the hematopoietic microenvironment. So why again this additional cytogenetic lesions? So these are caused by either genetic instability or abnormalities in the hematopoietic microenvironment. So regardless of the molecular driver, so if once there is excess monoclonal immunoglobulins, So whatever may be the molecular driver, regardless of the molecular driver, if there is excess monoclonal immunoglobulins because of excess proliferation of plasma cells, so this will lead to hyperviscosity. So this will lead to platelet dysfunction, and this will lead to renal tubular damage. So what does this lead to? So this will lead to hyperviscosity, this will lead to platelet dysfunction, and this will lead to renal tubular damage. And so because of hyperviscosity, what will happen? There will be neurological derangements, there will be bleeding because of platelet dysfunction, and renal tubular damage will lead to renal failure respectively. So bone marrow occupation by the expanding plasma cell clone. So plasma cells are there in the bone marrow, excess proliferation of these plasma cells, no? So they manifest as anemia, thrombocytopenia, and leukopenia. In addition, the interaction between myeloma cells and the bone microenvironment ultimately leads to the activation of osteoclast and suppression of osteoblast, resulting in bone loss. So what happens in the bone marrow is the myeloma cells and the bone marrow microenvironment. So there is the interaction between myeloma cells and so one is what is happening is anemia, thrombocytopenia, leukopenia, and apart from this, what is happening is, so this microenvironment, no, between the myeloma cells and bone marrow, what will happen? This will lead to activation of the osteoclast. Osteoclasts are activated and osteoblasts are suppressed, so this will result in bone loss. And several intracellular and intercellular signaling cascades, numerous chemokines and interleukins, all are implicated in this complex process. So what is happening in this complex process? Several intracellular and intercellular signaling cascades, numerous chemokines and interleukins, all are chemokines, interleukins, intracellular and intercellular signaling. So everything is implicated in this complex process. Then histopathology. Histopathology, what will happen? We can order a bone marrow aspirate and biopsy. So if we order a bone marrow aspirate and biopsy, so in this we can estimate what is the percentage, how much percentage of abnormal plasma cells are there. So why this, how much percentage? So because this is required for the diagnostic criteria for myeloma. So if we take this plasma cells in multiple myeloma, so these plasma cells in multiple myeloma, they have several possible morphologies. So what are the different morphologies of these plasma cells? Firstly, they could take the form of a mature normal plasma cell. That is, first morphology, how can they look like these plasma cells? It's like a mature normal plasma cell. That is, there will be a large cell will be large. That is, it is 2 or 3 times the size of a lymphocyte. There will be a single eccentric nucleus which is displaced by an abundant basophilic cytoplasm. So there are several morphologies of plasma cells. Firstly, the normal, it could be like a mature normal plasma cell. That is, it is a large cell, 2 or 3 times the size of a lymphocyte, and this has got a single eccentric nucleus, and so this nucleus, it will be displaced by an abundant basophilic cytoplasm. And the Golgi apparatus typically produces a light colored area next to the nucleus called a perinuclear halo. So why this perinuclear halo? The perinuclear halo, it is because of the Golgi apparatus, which produces a light colored area next to the nucleus. So this is called a perinuclear halo. Secondly, these plasma cells, either they look like of a mature plasma cell, or they could look like an immature cells. That is, immature cells which have a low nuclear cytoplasmic ratio, larger size, loose chromatin. So the cells can also look like immature cells, like having a low nuclear cytoplasmic ratio, larger size of the cells, and loose chromatin. That is, they could also look like a plasmablast. What are the other morphologies like bizarre? They could also look like bizarre multinucleated cells, flame cells with fiery red cytoplasm, or mott cells that show multiple clustered cytoplasmic droplets. So these cells, these plasma cells, they could also look like bizarre multinucleated cells or flame cells with fiery red cytoplasm, or mott cells. They show multiple clustered cytoplasmic droplets. The bone marrow, it is usually hypercellular and diffusely infiltrated by plasma cells. So what will happen in the bone marrow? So the bone marrow is usually hypercellular and this is diffusely infiltrated by plasma cells. See, rarely these plasma cells, not only in the bone marrow, they can also be seen in the peripheral blood. Even in the blood also we can see more plasma cells. So this is called as plasma cell leukemia. So if plasma cells are seen in the peripheral blood, so this is called as plasma cell leukemia. So immunohistochemistry. So what will happen, we take a tissue section and then we try to detect the plasma cells. So these plasma cells, they express the immunoglobulin in the cytoplasm and also occasionally on the cell surface. So in the plasma cells, what will happen, we can see the immunoglobulin in the cytoplasm and occasionally we can also see the immunoglobulin on the cell surface. So what are the CD markers of myeloma cells? That is cluster differentiation markers, CD markers. That is, these are the antigens which are typically specific for this myeloma cells. So these are typically 56, 38, 138 and 319 positive. Myeloma cells, okay, so they are typically 56, 38, 138 and CD319 positive and CD19 and CD45 negative. Negativity is seen for CD19 and CD45 negative. And clonality, see, because immunoglobulins will be there in the plasma cells and the clonality, either it is because see, in immunoglobulin we have this light chains and heavy chains. So in this clonality means so the light chains will be of kappa or lambda light chain. So the clonality is confirmed by kappa or lambda light chain restriction. And then what is the history and physical examination? The presentation of multiple myeloma, so this is quite variable. So it could be more subacute and insidious in onset, but it can also present with severe symptoms. So with that said, it is often seen in an older adult with some variation of constitutional symptoms or CRAB. So there will be hypercalcemia, renal dysfunction, anemia and bone pain with lytic lesions. And hypercalcemia caused by bone demineralization. So if there is a hypercalcemia, so what can it lead to? It will result in increased thirst and urination, bone pain, abdominal pain, nausea or vomiting, and or altered mental status. So if there is hypercalcemia, so this will lead to increased thirst and urination, bone pain, abdominal pain, nausea or vomiting, and altered mental status. So these are all the symptoms caused by hypercalcemia. So renal failure. So this renal failure, so this results from light chain cast nephropathy and or hypercalcemia. So this can lead to edema, acidosis and electrolyte disturbances. Renal failure. So this renal failure results from light chain cast nephropathy under hypercalcemia. So this can lead to, because of all these things, what will happen, there will be edema, acidosis, and because of renal failure there will be edema, acidosis and electrolyte disturbances. So why this renal failure? Because of light chain gas nephropathy under hypercalcemia. And anemia develops because of the bone marrow replacement or decreased erythropoietin levels. So this will result in fatigue, pallor, palpitations and worsening. So what are the symptoms of anemia? Why anemia? Because of the bone marrow replacement by the plasma cells. And there also will be decreased erythropoietin levels. So because of this, what will happen? There will be a fatigue, pallor, palpitations and worsening previous heart failure or angina. Bone pain. So this results from the osteolytic lesions. Bone pain results from the osteolytic lesions. So because of this osteolytic lesions, what will happen? So there will be pathological fractures, vertebral collapse. So because of this, what will happen? It reduced height, spinal cord compression, radicular pain or kyphosis. And although rare, even peripheral neuropathy and carpal tunnel syndrome also may be present. So what else can be present? Peripheral neuropathy and carpal tunnel syndrome. So osteolytic lesions are there. So because of the osteolytic lesions, there will be pathological fractures and vertebral collapse. And hyperviscosity symptoms. So what are the hyperviscosity symptoms? Bleeding, confusion, neurological symptoms, vision changes or heart failure. And so all these hyperviscosity symptoms are crucial because these will lead to a medical emergency. And finally, so this multiple myeloma patients, they are more prone for infections, mostly pneumonia and pyelonephritis. So assessing for recurrent illness is important. Finally, so this multiple myeloma patients, so they are more prone for infections. Mostly, what are the infections which are more common? Pneumonia and pyelonephritis. So assessing for recurrent illness is important in multiple myeloma patients. And evaluation and treatment will be discussed in the next class.